Recording in progress.
John, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, Victor?
I'm doing well, thank you. Can't
That's
complain.
good. Yeah,
You looking sharp? What's going on?
not much, just work. Gotta, every once in a while, part of my job is being a politician, sort of shaking hands and kissing babies and all that kind of stuff.
I can see you being good at that, John.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I'll tell you another reason why I wear a suit. I can walk into a place as a Black man and be treated with respect with my suit on. I come in there with some jeans and a t-shirt, they're like, where's your probation officer?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and even in my community, the young people look at me, they guess who I am. You're a pastor, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, without this suit, I've been treated very harshly.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it than what people see, right?
Yeah. And because I do, certain things for the organization, I'm the face and voice of Urban Ventures. This is the face and voice.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. You got an image to hold.
Just a real quick story, I hope, before anybody else gets on.
Yeah.
I was in Washington, D.C., and we were at a meeting with the Attorney General of the United States. And at lunchtime, they had a lunch break, and they had all these high top tables with a bunch of chicken on it and stuff. And I don't like standing and eating. So I seen the side room where everybody was sitting down and eating. And I said, I'm going in there.
Yeah.
So the guy at the door, and he lets me in, and I go sit down. And I'm eating, and everybody in the room, there's about 8 people. And there was one woman. They turned and looked at me like I had spit on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked the woman, I said, sister, you better tell me what's going on here. This feels like gang stuff. He wouldn't say nothing. And all of a sudden, 3 guys with guns came into the room. And they said, what are you doing in here? I said, what do you mean? That's the Attorney General. He's being protected by the CIA. How did you get in here? I said, you see that white guy by the door? He let me in here. So they went and asked him, why did you let him in here? He said, because he looked like he belonged in here. I'll remember that to the day I die. But they had their guns pulled. I remember that part too.
That's wild.
Yeah, you just opened the door. Hey, come on in, bring your plate in.
There's a spot left for you too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I wonder where everybody else is.
Right.
Hey, Jill.
Not Art, but he's coming in just a second. So we're trying to see if everybody else is on. Can you
Nope.
see just how many are on? Hi, Victor.
4.
Hey.
We got 2 people besides you and I, Jill.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, something's wrong with the link then.
Mm-hmm.
No, there was something wrong with the link, then nobody would be able to get on.
So Victor, what link did you use to get on this morning? Was it from an email that was an old one or a new one?
The email from, looks like Wednesday the 5th.
Wednesday the 5th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yesterday.
good. Okay, so the one from yesterday is working. Okay, so then that's not the reason. Check your email, Art, please, and just see if anyone is emailing you with difficulties.
No, nobody's doing difficulties.
Okay?
A couple of people can't come or will be late,
Okay.
like Nellie, but no.
Okay. Well then let's roll.
Well,
See you guys later.
all right. Marquise, are you there? Mr. Bowie, he must have stepped away. So Victor, you're it.
I love it. I've been waiting to bend you guys' ear.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, actually, we planned to do it this way because we needed to talk to you about some very serious stuff.
You are in trouble.
Yeah. Is that Jess in the background?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
What's up, Jess?
Dad, baby, how you doing?
Man, living the dream.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm supposed to do check-in, but I've already checked in with Victor, but we sort of just talked a little bit. Waiting for Marquise to get on. Would like to have at least 5 or 6 people in. That's up to you, Art.
Okay. Victor, what's gone on the last week for you?
It's a great question.
Yep.
Everybody, a lot of our business clients are doing year-end budgeting, so it's been a lot of, it's been a lot of getting quotes out to people, chasing down numbers, and trying to keep people happy. Let's see. We've just been we're doing work at the house, keeping up with my responsibilities. That's it. I live a pretty square life. I wake up in the morning, I go work out, and I go to work afterwards. That's it.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. How about you? What's your last week been like?
It's been kind of busy. We're trying to get a name of somebody for this organization for this building here. And so we're working on that.
Wow.
Coming together on some things.
So Victor, you said
Yeah.
something that I haven't heard in a long time.
Hmm.
You said sort of a square life.
That's right.
And back in my day, that meant you wasn't hip. You wasn't out in the streets. You
I'm
wasn't,
not.
you
Look,
know.
John, look, I'm 31.
Yeah.
I have my time out there. I have fun.
Well, that's good because I'm
I don't
living a
need
square
that no
life
more.
too.
That's not the speed of the life I'm after, you know?
All right.
Mhm.
Now,
Things
Cena,
change, don't they?
What's that?
Things change, don't they?
Yes, no kidding. No kidding. Yeah.
things change if you change. I know some people that are my age that act like they're 21.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So, but Cena's joined us.
Hey, Cena.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Sina. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Oh, is this? I'm just looking. Is it only the five of us?
Right now, but we called you two specially
I'll take that.
because we had some behavior issues we need to talk to you about. No, I'm playing. So how's your week been, Cena?
Busy, but good. Busy, but good.
Marquise.
All right, busy but good.
Okay, Marquise came back.
Greetings.
Yep, I see him. I was finishing up with Cena. Okay. I just wanted to ask you one question. What made it good? Just
What made it good? I'd say a couple accomplishments. I was able to make a few connections that I was trying to make, and finally on that pathway to do that. So that felt good.
Mhm.
And I think also what made it good, I'll tell you this. I had kind of a moment, it just as I was in my prayer time, is that the grace of God in me is enough. That's kind of,
Wow.
I'm feeling really, I feel like that has just been something that's been carrying me this week. Is that oftentimes we look in ourselves and it's like, oh, I can't do that. I can't accomplish that. But then when you look inside at yourself, but when you look at God, you realize, you know what, with him, all things are possible.
Amen. Well, thank you for that. Marquise.
Marquise and Dejan.
Marquise, not Marquise, Marquise.
Marquise.
Yes,
Say it,
How's
John.
your-
Marquise.
Marquise.
That's what I call him.
That's you, Art.
Okay. Okay,
how's your-
Marquise.
How's your week been?
My week has been a blessing. I honestly don't have bad days. I have some bad moments, but I look at where I was at a couple years ago. I look at what God is using me to do. I just moved last week, and at first I got denied this apartment that I was trying to get. I got denied a couple different apartments actually because of something that was on my record from 2005, which is sad. Because I got a drug cases in my background, so I got denied an apartment, and then I got denied this other one that I really wanted, and with some talking and with some better understanding, I actually got this crib that I wanted on Saturday. So I just been moving, and God is good, man. I definitely can't complain. I get to do something I really love in my community and be a positive influence and a light in a dark place.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you, man.
Dejan, you're on.
Huh?
Dejan,
Art, one of us has to do this, Art. Both of us can't.
sorry.
One-
Go ahead.
Okay.
So,
Dejan?
yes. So for me, it's actually been a challenging week, but I know that God is good and that God can turn all situations around. So just holding on to faith and going into prayer about things. So, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you all. All right, Art is yours.
Okay. Jess, if we could go to the first slide. Next. Okay, we're going to ask a couple of questions just to begin. What am I? Not who am I, but what am I? And what can I learn from my design? And that's one of the questions we're going to ask. What can I learn from my design? We'll get to that in a minute. And then what is the universal design and how does it apply to my organization? And how do I apply this learning to my strategic plan? Those are the things we're going to be working on. Okay? If you would go to the next one. I'm going to ask a question. What am I? Am I a body with a soul? Am I a body with a soul? And C.S. Lewis says, we don't have a soul. We are a soul that's been given a body. I am a soul that has been given a body for a while. A soul will last for eternity. My body for a while. Does that make sense? That's an interesting concept. Okay? I'm going to stop right there. Any thoughts? Have you ever wrestled with that? Am I a body with a soul or a soul with a body?
Body is just a tent for the soul.
There you go. I like that. Marquise, good word. My body is a tent for my soul. And tents are temporary, aren't they?
Mhm.
Okay.
I think that it highlights that there's so much that we focus on in the material world, rather than, being our purest self and doing the things that we know will make us feel good or make others feel good, and leave. It makes me think about leaving a legacy behind, in the aspect of leaving something for your people. Your body won't obviously stay here forever, but leaving generational wealth, fixing things, helping solve family problems, and giving back to the community, things like that. I agree with that. That's pretty cool to think about. I guess I've thought of it in my head, but just haven't zoomed in on that statement right there.
Okay, good. Sina, any thoughts? Okay.
I agree with it.
Okay. Let's go to the next slide. Have you ever really looked at your body? If you did, what did you see? You see hair, flesh, acne, got a pimple, color. Have you ever looked at your structure, your interconnectedness, the complexities and the abilities? I'm going to ask a question. How many eyes do you have? Answer it quickly. How many eyes?
2.
How many teeth? How many teeth?
Something like 30.
32.
32.
32. How
I don't believe you.
how many organs to your body?
Tough one. I don't know.
67. 67. How many bones?
206.
How do you know?
I've heard it before.
Wow. How many joints?
I don't know. That's a good one.
450.
Jeez.
How many muscles?
No idea.
Now you work out every day. Come on now.
It depends
How
on
many
the person.
muscles? 656.
Holy cow.
My goodness.
How many tendons, cartilages, sinews, and ligaments? 900. How many arteries?
500.
948.
Jeez.
Okay. How many veins?
No idea. That one's
900
probably in the thousands.
963. Okay, go to the next one. We're going to look at this for a minute. Have you really looked at your skeleton? What do you see there in that skeleton?
Reminds me of a science class textbook.
Bones.
Bones. See my bones, 206 bones. That's my structure. Isn't it interesting? The question is, have I really looked at myself? When I look at myself, I don't see this, but this is underneath me. This is holding me up. This is what is supporting me. Okay. Next. Look at the bones of the upper limb. You see the arm, the hands, all the different bones. And then there's the shoulder and the elbow. The shoulder is the most versatile of all of our limbs. Just think of what you do. You can rotate it up, down. I can come right at you. I can throw a football. I can throw a baseball. I can catch. I can do all sorts of things with my shoulders. Isn't that wild? Okay. Now look at the foot and the ankle. When you walk, do you think of all these things?
Not at all.
You see all the different bones that connected with that? Now, I used to run, you work out every day, Victor. I used to run 3 to 5 miles a day for 35 years. Then something began to happen, because when I was a kid in Chicago, I would go down to the shoe store and they had an X-ray machine. And you would go and put your foot into the X-ray machine. You would turn it on and you could see the size of your foot and you could see your bones. Then you'd buy a shoe. When we were kids, we would go down and we would spend 15 minutes on the X-ray machine. What was wrong with that? What do X-ray machines do to you? They deteriorate you. That's why when you have an X-ray for the dentist, it's a little zip, right? Zip. It's a quickie. It's not long. But I did that for a long time. We did that down there. And my leg bone began to come off my ankle bone. And I had to have an operation to put it back together, and I have 3 screws holding my foot, my foot bone up to my leg bone again. Isn't that crazy? So I can't run anymore because I can't do that, but I can elliptical, but I can't run.
Yeah, it's too much impact on you.
Too much impact. But just look at how now look at over on the right hand side, the vertebrae. Does anybody have a back problem? Anybody have any problem with their back? It's very easy to do that because the vertebrae is so complicated. And they're called lumbars, and it can be a problem in one of your lumbars, and you can have some real difficulties. Isn't that interesting? Now, I had problems with my 4-5 lumbar, and John, you ever had problems with your back?
Right.
I had to come back on the plane from Texas from a retreat because I was in so much pain. I went to the hospital. They put me through the X-ray machine, and they found out I had a problem with the 4 or 5 lumbar. And I was going to have an operation. And I said, no, I'm not going to, because they had an alternative of physical therapy. And so I went to physical therapy, and I have been doing exercises with my back every day for all these years because I didn't want an operation, and I have cured it by exercise. Isn't that interesting?
Mhm.
You asked if I have ever had problems with my back. To this day, I have problems with my back. I got an unnatural curvature of the spine,
Mhm.
and one of my nerves is being pinched. So I use CBD, which is a wonderful non-narcotic drug to relieve that sensation. So, and every once in a while I sprain my back. When you guys get a little older, you'll understand what that means. You try to pick up something, but I'm good.
Okay. So this is complex, isn't it? Look at that. Okay. Next. Now, this is the muscular system. And how many muscles did we say we had? 656. Look at the muscles, up and down. And you keep working those muscles out, don't you? Victor, you keep those strength. Keep that worked out,
You gotta
okay?
treat them right.
You got to what?
You gotta treat them right.
You got to treat them right. Now, here's the nervous system. You have nerves up and down the body. Nerves up and down the body. 1,092 nerves. Now, the interesting thing about the nerves is, where are all the nerves connected to? They're all connected to the brain. Now, pinch yourself on your lower leg. Reach down and pinch yourself. Just pinch. Do you feel it on your leg down there? You feel it down there, but it's coming up here to your brain and feeding it back down there. So you are consciously in your mind feeling the pain down there, up here. That's the complexity of the nervous system. All over your body, your toe, your fingertips, everything is connected to the brain and feeds back to you that you're getting you got a pain there. Isn't that interesting? Then there's a vascular system. What's the vascular system? What does that mean? What does that do?
And then feed blood.
Okay, it puts blood out, and it puts blood out. And what does the blood do?
It brings oxygen to the different parts of your body.
It brings oxygen and nutrition,
Mhm.
right? And it takes it out to the body. And it goes all over your body and takes nutrition to your body. Okay? What's the next one? The respiratory system. By the way, if the arteries take the blood out, what brings the blood back?
Your
The
veins.
veins. The veins. So artery takes it out with the nutrition. The veins collect the used product in the waste and brings it back. Okay? Now here's a respiratory system. That is, I gotta breathe. I gotta breathe. By the way, how many breaths do you take a day?
No idea.
20,000.
Hmm.
20,000 breaths a day.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, now look at where it comes. It comes in your nose, goes down into your lungs, and it comes back out. So you take oxygen in and you put carbon dioxide out. Lungs in, lungs out. Lungs in, lungs out. And that's your respiratory system, okay? Now the digestive system. You got to take energy in because my body requires energy. So I take food in and it comes in through my mouth, right? And goes down into my organs and is processed there. It takes food in, breaks it down chemically, disperses it, puts it out throughout my body, and I have internal organs all over that this goes to, and I'm remarkably fed. Okay, next. Here's the anatomy of the human heart. My heart. My heart is beating 60 times a minute, or if I'm working out, 105, or if I'm really sleeping, maybe 55. And my heart has 6 different valves to it, and it pumps, 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 and keeps everything moving. All the blood, all the return from the veins. And so it goes out, comes in, out, comes in. Okay?
Mhm.
Next, you got the head. I want you to look at the head. What do you see in the head? First of all, you see a skeleton. Now there was bones that were just like arms and legs, but now you have a bone that is round. And you see how it's shaped? I just want to see the 2 eyes. You see the holes? You see the nose? There's a hole. You see the mouth? And then there's muscles. And there's muscles that all around the face, several muscles of the head and the facial expressions. Smile, get mad, and all those muscles are expressing emotions and things. By the way, you see the jaw? Because that skeleton has a jaw that opens up and closes. And it's got muscles that do that. Okay. Next. I want you to see the brain. The brain is extremely complex. In the very beginning, it's the frontal lobes. And when we're young, we begin to develop the white part. Then it gets out into the other parts and it's very complex. The brain has 100 trillion cells. 100 trillion cells are connected to the brain. Isn't that crazy? Okay. Now, this is part of the head. What do you see over there on the left? You see an eye? You see the eye. The eye, just look up, look down, look to the left, look to the right. It moves, doesn't it? The eye sees 180 degrees out. The eye also can tell distances. You're looking at a screen. How far is the screen from you? Victor, how far is your screen?
2 feet.
2 feet. Marquise, how far is yours?
Say that again.
How far is the screen from your eye?
Feet, couple feet.
Couple feet. I'm looking at one that's probably 20 feet because I'm looking up against the wall up here. Now, the other thing about the eye is it can see colors. The other thing about the eye is it can measure distances. You can catch a baseball coming at you. You can catch a football coming at you. You can see a car coming at you. You can see a car going away. Isn't that complex?
Mhm.
Now, another thing about the eye, there's a fluid that goes through your eyeball. It permeates your eyeball. The reason I know that is I used to have contact lenses because I needed glasses. I had contact lenses, but in the old days, the contact lenses were as big as my eye. Today, a contact lens is small, but back then it was big and it had a fluid that I had to put in. So I put my fluid in and I put it into my eye, and then it would open my eye up. If I wore that contact lens for 10 hours, the fluids were artificial, not like my real fluid, and my eye would go white. So if I wore them overnight, I'd wake up in the morning and I had white eyes, and
Whoa.
I couldn't see because the artificial fluids were going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So my fluid keeps my eye visible. Isn't that interesting? The other thing was I played football, and I would take a little green tint that made it real bright green. And so I would put those in. And then as I was getting down at the line, I'd look at the defensive player and he'd see my green eyes and he'd get spooked. The other problem I had is if I tackled a person, sometimes I get a bubble in the eye. I have to come out and replace it. Okay.
You didn't have to worry about your moves, but you did intimidate him at least with your eyes, huh?
There you go. There you go. Now the anatomy of the ear. Look at the ear. By the way, the eye is 180 degrees. The ear is 360. You can hear somebody coming up behind you, can't you? You can hear a car coming up. You can hear somebody approaching you. You can hear all sorts of things everywhere. Comes in and goes to records here. And then, by the way, you can get wax in your ear and it plugs you, but it goes to your brain and you can hear everything going on out there. So you have an eye, you have an ear. What's the next thing? You got a tooth. Look at your mouth. You have a tooth. How many teeth? 32. And the tooth will decay. Won't it decay? And then you have to have it drilled. And sometimes you have to have it, Jess?
Yeah, extracted.
Extracted. He had one extracted this week.
Still killing him.
Still killing him. He ate something that cracked his tooth. He went and they couldn't fix the crack. They had to take the tooth out.
Mm.
Ever had a tooth removed? Yes, all of us did, because when we were growing up, we lost our teeth and had new teeth come in. But now I don't want to lose my teeth. So I have to go to a dentist, and the dentist takes care of that. No, I just want to say that's very interesting. Now look at the ear, the nose, and then we're going to look at the throat over on the left, the throat. The throat is an interesting thing. Food comes in, the teeth crunch it, goes in and down, and goes into my stomach, in through the throat. So I eat through my mouth, down to the throat, to my stomach, okay? By the way, my tongue is an interesting thing, because I can taste salt in one area of my tongue, and I can taste sugar on another area, right? And every cook in town has one job, and that's to please my tongue. Because if my tongue is not pleased, I don't go back to that restaurant. If they serve bad food and it's not tasty, I don't go back there. Okay, go to the next one. No. Skin. Good. Okay. I want you to look at this for a minute. You see the skin? All over your body. Touch your skin. Just touch it. It holds in the flesh. It's your outer coating. Now you see the hair? There's follicles, and the hair is down below and comes out through holes in the skin. Wow. Then there's sensory nerve endings all over under the skin, so that you can scratch your hand, you can scratch your face, you can feel through the sensory nerve endings what's going on through the skin. Isn't that interesting? Then you go down and you see under that muscles. And we have muscles underneath the flesh, the skin, the flesh, the sensory, the muscles. And all of this is going on in my body. Have you ever really thought about this much? What's the next? How can all these integrated complexities occur? Did they just happen? They just happened. It's just
Yeah, how do you explain it
happened.
other than that?
What's that?
How do you explain it other than that?
Where did it come from? Now, there's one more thing that's really important. Does anyone know what the second law of thermodynamics is?
Oh man, I
Okay.
should.
You
I've
should.
been asked that trivia question before.
You should. The second law of thermodynamics is that everything is in a downward trend. Everything is deteriorating. It goes from up. You ever been on the top of a building? If you jump, you don't want to jump, do you? Because you would fall. You go down. Boom. So it goes from high to down. It goes from fast to slow. You're going 80 miles an hour, take the foot off the
Gas.
pedal,
Mhm.
turn the car off, and it stops. It goes from hot, you heat your coffee, and 10 minutes later it's what?
Cold again.
Cold again. So it goes from hot to cold, fast to slow, up to
High to
down,
low.
high to low, and everything's in a downward trend.
Hmm.
If that's the second law of thermodynamics, how did all of this come up to be this on its own?
Hmm.
It just happened. It was the way things work. It did it on its own. Or is there really a design to it all? And if there is, who could the designer be? And how could I ever understand this designer and even meet him? Who is my designer and how do I figure this out? And why is it such a mystery as to who the designer is? Are those good questions?
Those are really good questions.
So these are questions that I begin to ask as I begin to look at what I am and who I am and how I'm built and how I function. Because you see, if there is a designer and I'm going to live, there's a designer and I'm going to meet that designer and I've got a soul that's forever, a body for a while. Second law of thermodynamics is my body, the physical. How can I know who my designer is and how can I connect my soul with the designer? Why is it such a mystery as to who the designer is? Okay. We're tracking okay with these questions? We have been given by a designer some basic equipment. Just like you to read it. Who'll read the first one?
Soul, the real and core me. The task or my responsibility is to save my soul or preserve it. That's how I see it.
Okay, okay. Marquise, read the next one.
Body, my gender, my ecosystem. Redeem.
I have a body and a gender and an ecosystem. Isn't that what we saw? Okay. Sina, what's the next one?
Name for my personal and eternal identifier. My
Wow.
task abilities on
What's your name?
Seina.
No, your whole name.
Seina Dagaga.
You have a middle name?
Yes.
What is it?
Getacho.
Okay. Now say the whole name. Say the whole name.
Seina Getacho Dagaga.
Okay. Okay, Victor, say your whole name.
Victor Julius Easter.
John? Can't hear you.
John Earl Turnipseed.
Earl. Okay. Marquise?
Subs. Where we at?
Whole name.
Marquise Laguan Bowie.
Okay. Jess?
John Kuykendall.
Jill?
Jill Woulding Osborne.
Wilding?
Woulding.
Woulding.
Okay. My name is Wallace Arthur Erickson. My father's name was Wallace Alfred Erickson. And his father's name was Walter Alfred Erickson. Walter Alfred Erickson, Wallace Alfred Erickson, Wallace Arthur Erickson. Three categories of people in my family, WAE. That's my name. You've got a name. Everybody
I
has.
was just going to mention, hey, Brian O'Neill Brown.
Okay, O'Neill, it's good to have you on.
Thank you.
Okay, so you have a name. Read the next category here. Mind.
Mind for reasoning, imagination, communication. It's my responsibility to transform and renew my mind.
Now just think about the mind. Have you thought about your mind? You reason with it, you imagine with it, and you communicate with it. Isn't that amazing? So we have a body, we have a name, we have a mind. Wow, look at some of the basic equipment that we've been given. What's the next one? John. Earl.
Heart for
Okay.
emotions and intentions, how I feel and act, and the responsibility is change.
So I have a heart for emotions. My heart is moved. My heart is excited. My intentions. I have a heart. Okay. Do I want a heart for good or do I want a heart for evil?
I don't know. We use this word heart, but I think it's my spirit that has the emotions and intentions. I understand that the Bible says change the heart from a heart of stone to a heart, and I know how we use that word, but I'm just conflicted in because I've studied the heart and because I'm a heart patient and stuff. I'm just conflicted in what it really does.
Okay,
I just think it's spirit. I don't know if
Okay.
that comes from the heart or whatever. I just needed to say.
it's okay, John. We're just saying that the mind is for thinking, the heart is for emotions.
Okay.
The will is for decision making. The soul is for eternity. Yeah, it's me. Okay, who's got the next one? Victor, what's the next one?
So my feet are for mobility and travel. And
Okay.
they'll help me navigate through this world.
Yeah, and it's interesting that we dress our feet, don't we? Shoes, all sorts of things. In fact, athletes have practical things for their feet, and artists and movie stars have they doctor themselves up. They're beautiful. Okay, feet. But we're given feet. What's another thing? Sina, what's the next one?
The next one is a peanut, a God-given place, purpose, vision, mission, and that is to develop.
Yeah, that's the one we talked about with George Washington Carver, the peanut. You're given a place, a purpose, a vision, and a mission. So I have a body with a name, a mind for thinking, a heart for emotions, feet for moving, and a peanut, a place. Okay? What's the next thing? Brian, what's the next one?
I think we are on DNA
Yes.
for strengths, skills, and purpose. And it's what we're constantly discovering.
And by the way, DNA is a more recent discovery in the science world, but it's the DNA that's in everything and is in me. And we each have a unique DNA, don't we? Okay. And then the following. Read that one, John.
Will and conscious.
Oh, okay. A will and conscience. Go ahead.
For personal power and choice.
Okay. Isn't it interesting to have a conscience? Because my conscience can either be disturbed or not disturbed. But have you ever had a disturbed conscience? You ever done something wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And what determined what was going on there? Give an illustration of something that went wrong and that you were bothered by it. Give an illustration.
Obviously, there's a million different ways that we could have that feeling, but a disturbed conscience. Oh, I had not an altercation, but a conversation with a friend of mine, and we didn't agree on some things, and I felt like I, in a way, was being disrespected, and I said some things that I probably shouldn't have said, and my conscience was eating me up afterwards. It was telling me that I shouldn't have said those things. I should reach back out to that person and tell them I apologize for the way that I spoke to them. There's a better way to handle that situation. So my mind wouldn't rest because I didn't handle that situation the right way.
Okay. When I was a kid in Chicago, I used to steal. I would go into a store and I'd hide, and I'd steal and put it in my pocket. But I would feel bad about it, but I would not want to be caught. Then I would go home and I'd empty it out. My mom would say, "Where would you get that stuff?" And I would lie and say, "Well, I have to come up with the story." So I lie, I hide. What's doing that? My conscience, right? and it makes me feel bad. So you felt bad later. We have a conscience, and we also have a will to do something, and it's for personal power and choices. Okay, and then what's the last one?
Hands
Hands for what?
for tasks and accomplishments.
Yeah, we've been given basic equipment, hands, to do things. And I want to train my hands to do the skills that are necessary to get done, okay? Okay, next.
Can I interrupt you just for a second? I'm sorry. I need that of yours. Social Security number. That's what I'm getting.
I just got hijacked.
You did, by me.
They came in and took my social security number. I'm gonna lose everything I've got. I hope she has a conscience.
Yeah, you still have everything on the last slide though.
That's right. Okay. Now, that's that's my basic equipment. Now, let's look at my environment. Everybody gets one of these and must survive and thrive. Okay? What's the first one?
Family.
Family. I have a family. There is not anybody in this world that has not had a family. Somebody came in from somebody else, which is a combination of a mother and a father, or a man and a woman. So there's a family. What's the next?
Ethnicity.
Ethnicity. I always like to ask people, where are you from originally? And it's just interesting. Sometimes they tell me immediately, I'm from Sarah Salon. I'm from Ecuador. Or others will say, well, I'm just from Minneapolis. Yeah, but where were you from originally? Well, okay. Okay, culture. What's a culture? Sina, what's a culture?
It's how you were brought up and the group, maybe the group of people, the family that you were raised in.
Okay. Now, just for a minute, let's go to the next one, geography, because what's your geography background?
Ethiopia.
Oh, and what was your culture?
My culture is Oromo. It's an Oromo.
Oh, see, Oromo, which is a culture of Ethiopia, right?
Yep, it's one of them.
It's one of the cultures. What are some of the other cultures in Ethiopia?
Well, they come, there's various tribes, over 100 tribes in Ethiopia. So they all have their own ways and cultures.
Okay, 100 tribes.
Mm-hmm.
And they all get along, right?
For them.
No, don't go there. I have a map on the wall over here of 300 Native American tribes in America. And it's a map of the tribes. So those are the cultures, okay? The cultures of the indigenous people in America. And by the way, they did some pretty bad things to each other too, okay? Now the economic class. What are the economic classes? Name them.
Lower class, middle class, upper class.
Oh, okay. And they're in every culture, aren't they? In every
Probably.
geography. And then the question
Except
is, what
like
class?
socialism, right?
Yeah, okay. What class are you? Don't answer it. Upper class.
I'm not afraid to admit I'm somewhere in the middle.
Okay. But we do have different classes, don't we? Okay, what's the next one?
Political system.
Yeah, political systems. And what are those in America? Democratic,
Courts.
Republican, yeah, courts, yeah, right, courts. That's right. There's a variety of, yes, government.
Conservative, liberal.
conservative, liberal. We have different names for them, don't we?
Mhm,
Right wing, left wing.
mhm.
Yep. But there are political systems, and they're very powerful. What's the next one?
Health system.
Health systems. Now, that's something we're used to because we have hospitals, but in many countries, and especially in slums, there's no hospitals, there's no health systems. In fact, in many slums, there's not even toilets, there's no bathrooms, and water is a problem. I mean, there's some serious health problems right? I'm just amazed when I go down the street and I know that there's sewers that carry stuff away. There's pipes that come in that give us water into our buildings. We have electricity that comes into our buildings. We have amazing things that are into our cultures in our cities in America. Okay, what's the next one?
Historical system.
Education.
Oh,
Education system.
okay.
You ever been in a slum school?
Hmm.
What's a slum school look like? What's a classroom in a slum school look like?
It doesn't even look like a classroom. It looks like it's in shambles, right?
It's
There might be a whiteboard or a chalkboard up on the wall.
Yep. And there could be 70 kids in there, right?
Uh-huh. Hmm.
And it's all by rote learning. They repeat things and they learn by repeat. And it's not critical thinking, it's repeat, right?
Hmm.
And yet we have educational systems, it's elementary school, junior high, senior high, college, graduate school, right? Okay. Next, historical system. What's a historical system?
Story told.
What's that?
A story that's been told.
Okay. What's the historical system of America?
It's not a good one, is it?
You want to go there?
Okay, no, can you, okay, it started with tribes, right? Indigenous. Then what came in? The Mayflower. And what did it bring? Brought whites, and it brought blacks, and it brought, all sorts of things. And then, so we have a whole system here of, now we have immigrants coming in from all over. By the way, one of the historical systems was the front door of America used to be New York from Europe, and then it became the West Coast from Asia. And when the Asians came in, like the Chinese were brought in to build railroads, and they were enslaved. It was very tough. It was very tough, and they couldn't own any businesses. But they ate, so they had restaurants. So the only business in the Chinese world in America was Chinese restaurants. And every big city has 100 to 200 Chinese restaurants in it. Isn't that crazy?
Hmm.
So restaurants that's a historical system for Chinese in America, part of our historical. And then the final one, you get opportunity. And is there opportunity for everyone?
No.
Hello. No. Okay. Then there's my relational me. So we have an environmental, we have we have, this is just interesting. Now my relational me. 4 kinds of people. There's adders, there's subtractors, there's dividers, and there's multipliers. Now, what's an adder do? An adder gives, puts back, likes, and you like an adder. What's a subtractor do? Takes, covets. I don't want, I don't care what, I want what you have. I don't care if you have it or not. I want it. A divider. A divider often looks like an adder. It's you and me, let's be together. But the longer you're with that person, the farther you see you are away from everybody else, and you've been divided. And you're over here with that person, divider. And then there's multipliers. And multipliers, they don't give at first. They wait and see. In the stock market, they'll buy 10 shares, then they'll buy 100 shares, then they'll buy 1,000 shares before they'll ever buy 10,000 shares. Multipliers wait to see if you're worth giving into. Okay. Now, what kinds of people do you want around you?
Adders and multipliers.
Adders and multipliers. What people do you not want around you?
Subtractors and dividers.
Okay. Isn't that interesting?
Mhm.
Any stories of sometime when you've had a divider around you and somebody divided you from somebody else?
Yeah.
What?
That can happen in abusive relationships a lot.
Ooh. Talk about that.
Oh, it's like a form of manipulation.
Mm.
You start to look like an adder. You start out like you're an adder, but you've got some ulterior motive, and you separate that individual from their support system, their culture, their family, and you kind of plant seeds of doubt and whatever horrible things else somebody who thinks like that does, and you separate that person from the life that they used to have.
And you hear something like this: don't you ever talk to anybody about what you saw happen here.
Yeah, right.
Don't you ever tell anybody what I did to you.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Dividers. How about subtractors?
That one strikes me as the folks who are constantly taken out of your bucket, the people that they don't have much to offer you, but they always call you and they need something or they want something, but they're not willing to put in as much work as you're putting in, or not willing to take the disciplinary steps to achieve or go get what they're asking from you or of
Right.
you. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about one of the gals that we knew well. She lived in Chicago. She had 14, she lived in a slum in Chicago, and they got burned out of their place there. But she had 14 siblings, all with different fathers. They moved up here, not far from us, had a house, and they got burned out of that, went to another house. And they told a story, she told me the story about in Chicago, there was a time when one of the fathers came to have lunch with one of the brothers. And the father brought a new bicycle to give to his son, but they didn't know where to put it. They couldn't put it in the apartment, so they had to take it downstairs and put it in the basement to store it. While the father took the son to lunch, the other family kids went down and wrecked the bike. They wrecked the bike because they were jealous. They didn't want the bike, they just didn't want him to have it. That's jealousy. Have you ever been around something like that? Interesting. So I want my relational relationships to have adders and multipliers. Now, next. This design is not random. There's reasons for all this. The pluses and the minuses. The environment, the equipment, everything. There is a designer. how can I understand that designer? Okay? We're going to go to the next section here, and that is, how do I organize? In light of all of this, my environmental, my relational, etc., how can I begin to organize something that's so complex? What are you looking at here? You're looking at a car. It's a Ford car from the Ford Motor Company. And we're going to just talk a little bit about this for a minute, because in 1900, we discovered through the Ford Motor Company the basic organization of the universe. Okay? There is an organization behind the universe. There is a designer, and there is an organization behind it. And we discovered it through the car. Now, what kinds of things go into a car? When you look at that car, what do you see? What are the different elements that go into a car? Just look at them and talk about it. What do you see?
You gotta have a hard exterior.
You have a hard exterior.
Mhm.
What's that made out of?
Back then, probably something good.
Well, but I mean, what do you see?
Metal,
Mhm.
Metal. You see metal. What else do you see?
rubber, tires.
Rubber tires.
Mhm.
What else do you see?
You got lights so you can see
Yeah.
ahead of yourself.
Ooh, you see lights. What else do you see?
Windshields, protective glass,
Glass. Protective glass. What else do you see?
mirrors,
Mirrors that reflect. What else?
Engine.
design.
What? I didn't hear that.
I said
Said
an engine.
engine. Said an engine.
Oh, an engine. Oh, there's an engine in there. Okay. And
There's a
how do
certain
you,
design. There's a certain design as well for the vehicle.
and there's a design for it. Now, how do you start that engine?
Spark plugs,
Spark plugs. How else?
a key,
A key. How else?
gas,
Gas. How else?
Battery.
A battery. A battery. What else?
money to put the gas in.
Okay. This is very complex, isn't it? Now just think about this, because I bought a 72 passenger bus from the Bluebird Bus Company when I was back doing youth work. I raised the money and ordered a bus and went down to Kentucky and watched them build my bus for 2.5 days. I saw the first thing they put down for the bus was two I-beams, metal I-beams, long. These are long I-beams. Then you have to take the wheels. You have the wheels are connected to these things that hold them on, and they have to go in. And then you begin to put different things around, including the motor, including the seats, including all of the different parts, including the glass. And it took 2.5 days to watch my bus made. The Ford Motor Company began to build cars like this, and they saw the complexity of where it all has to come in. There's a tire company that does rubber someplace else. There's somebody that does glass over here. There's somebody that does spark plugs over here. There's somebody that does mirrors over here. There's somebody that does all the different parts, and it comes in to the factory. It comes in to the factory to be put together. I'm just going to stop for a minute. In a manufacturing company, who do you think is the most important person in that manufacturing company? Who do you think that might be?
The person who engineered that product.
Somebody who develops the product, the engineer? Okay. What else?
Person who
Important.
opens the door at the building, the people
Somebody who
come
opens
rent.
the door to the building? The janitor?
No, somebody that opens the door so they can come do the work.
Yep,
Yeah, maybe
okay,
the person paying the people to be there.
okay. Okay. Now, Henry Ford had the idea of building the Ford Motor car. So this is his car that he was going to manufacture. And he began to develop a company that would do that. First of all, he said, I'm the owner. I own this company. And I'm going to have it called the Ford Motor Company. And the Ford Motor Company is going to have a board of directors that comes around this thing and sees that this thing gets made. So on his board of directors, he had the president of the tire company, the president of the motor company, the president of the glass company, the president of the sheet metal company, the president of the iron structuring company. He had 20 people on his board of owners of the different kinds of companies that were delivering things to him. Does that make sense? Now, you make a car, but then you have to deliver it where it's sold. So you have to have dealers all across the country that sell this product, correct? And then you have to repair these projects, these companies. So you have to have at that sales place, you have to have a repair shop. So you have to have repair shops. Okay. Now you see how big this is. So the company presidents own the company, and this stuff is all delivered, and it comes into the plant, the manufacturing plant, and it's put together by a plant manager who sees that all of this stuff comes together so that that car is made on time and zero tolerance for error. So the board of owners hires somebody who's an executive director to execute all of this. And then the plant manager sees that this gets produced. Now, I'm going to just suggest something to you, that the most important person in a manufacturing company is the plant manager. Because that company doesn't have a company if that car isn't zero tolerance for error on time. Does that make sense? If you don't have a product that I can buy, that I can depend on, you don't got a company. But the company has to have an organization of somebody who owns it and invests in it, an executive director who executes all of this and pulls it all together because this is very complex. And then the plant manager who produces it. I'm just going to stop right there. Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No. I want just a little bit of discussion on this. What do you see?
I see that it kind of takes a team to make something work. And from kind of what you're saying, you kind of want to look for the people that are great in their field. You don't want the person that's okay. You kind of want the geek. So you want the person that knows everything about glass, and you want the person that knows everything about tires, and you want the person to know everything about the engine. You don't just want to know somebody that can build an engine. You want somebody that knows the ins and outs. And then kind of like the Transformers, you guys just come together to make something great.
Yeah, you can't have bad glass, can you? You gotta have
Nope.
somebody who understands good glass.
Understands that if your vehicle goes 80 miles an hour and something hits it, that the glass just won't shatter.
Exactly.
If I could add to that too, I think that there's something to be said to Akeem's point is these are experts in their field. It's not one person doing all those things. It's the team coming together. It's trusting the team. It's building the relationships of the team. Especially when you think about a board of directors, it's 20 people, you know, that are coming together in those specific fields. But they're focusing on one thing. The quality is there versus one person doing 20 things. They have 20 people doing one thing.
Okay, good. Good.
I think it's extremely collaborative in nature that no matter how good you are in your field, you still need other people and you still need others. And I think more what I'm seeing is starting with the end in mind so that you know all the collaborators that are needed. Otherwise, you're constantly starting and stopping because you didn't think about, you know, the vision of where you're going. So yeah, I think there's a lot of pieces you learn along the way, but there's a lot of pieces that are interconnected. We need each other as well as how our body works is how we work as a community. We need each other, and yeah, that's what I say.
And it's interesting that you need different kinds of people because the owner is one kind of person, right? The CEO is another kind of person who has to see that this all is, it all works together and pulled all together. And then the plant manager is a different kind of person because he's got to be very practical, or she's got to be very practical. They've got to be able to produce this thing and make it work. Now, I'm going to tell you that there's three different kinds of meetings. The board, they're very busy, and their owners, they come together once every 2 months. The staff around the CEO, they meet every Monday. The plant manager, do you know what you know what a plant manager meeting looks like? The different components come together for about 10 minutes in a stand-up meeting. And the question is, are we ready for today? Are we ready for tomorrow? And if the answer is yes, everybody goes back to their place. If the answer is no, we didn't get the glass in, or we didn't get the tires in, or we didn't, then we have to do a whole bunch of stuff to solve the problem. But if it's all coming in and it's all right, see you later. Okay, does that make sense? And by the way, that plant manager is very important. Okay, now, let's just stop. One more stop. Are we clear on the different kinds of roles and the different kinds of places here?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Henry Ford discovered that practically. The universal governance that we have, that this comes from, is God the Father is the owner. He's the visionary, and he's the investor, and he's the board chair. Jesus is the designer, the architect, the builder, the site supervisor, and preparing the building, preparing this whole thing for the ribbon cutting. And the Holy Spirit is the COO. He is the operations person. He is the person who is the plant manager and runs it. He takes it over after the ribbon cutting. He runs it. He's the HR director and gives the job descriptions and the scripts and all of that. He's also the encourager and affirmer, but he's also the convictor who gives the structure. No, you're not doing it right. You're not doing this right. This is not right. This is not right. So he convicts of sin, righteousness, and judgment. And he's also the event planner, getting it all put together so that it all comes out at the right time. This is the universal government of the universe. Next, let's go over that. The Father is the board chair, the ultimate authority, the visionary, the investor, the owner who sets the course. He gives purpose, governance to enlarge the family with given parameters. He wanted a bigger family, so he turned it over to the Son, who is the designer, the engineer, who gives purpose, design, builds, executes, set goals. And when it was done, he turned it over to the Holy Spirit, who's the plant manager, the site supervisor, the HR director, the event coordinator, and he's running it. I'm going to stop there. That's very important from our perspective. Okay, now the next question. How does this apply to your organization? I'm going to ask a question. Are you trying to do it all? Next question. How are you organized? Next one. Do you understand the necessary roles? And the next one is, are you in the right role? Okay? No, don't do that. I'm just going to ask you a question. Do you try to do too much? I'm asking. Feedback.
Yep.
Okay. What do you
Yep.
see?
All the
What do you
time.
see?
You end up, or you tend to wear yourself thin. You find that you don't have enough energy to do everything at a high quality rate. So some things might go in the back burner, and that might mess you up if you don't have a plan, because something might supposed to be done before you do one thing, and just because you're doing everything at once, you kind of forget, and you might have to go back and redo, or you might just be moving too fast and the quality isn't as good.
Who's speaking?
Mr. QB.
Who?
Marquise.
No.
Akeem.
Akeem. Okay.
Akeem.
That's what I thought, Akeem. Thank you. It looked like you were muted.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good to have you on board. I know you had to come in late. Good to have you.
Yeah, I apologize.
That's okay. That's okay. Who else was shaking their head yes? I do too much.
I was shaking my head yes. This is Travis.
Yeah.
I feel that way often, especially with a full-time job and then doing some more stuff on the side, and trying to balance those things and find the time of day, and often sacrificing one thing to, put more time in another place, whether that's sleep or personal relationships, family, friends, that sort of stuff. So definitely when we were looking at the car picture and going through those different roles, started thinking more about who's at my table and, who I might be able to rely on based on trust and relationships a little bit more. That can carry some of the tasks that more people than just me can do. So trying to figure out where I can delegate and enlist the help and support of other people.
Okay, good. Okay, anyone else?
I'm sure we all find moments where we're trying to do it all, but that only leads to frustration and burnout. So it'd be right for you to try to, connect with other people that are that's doing things. We have a leadership team over here at Agape, and the stuff that I personally come across, I try to bring it to us all because it's people that do other things better than I do. I'm just good at connecting with people and, being the face of what we got going on over here, the face of change. And, other people that, are more technical with computers and stuff like that, stats wise, I let them do that stuff. And I don't feel like it's less than, but, certain people are skilled at different things. So it's wise to let them do that, so you don't get frustrated.
Okay. Travis, what's your giftedness? Are you a CEO? Are you a plant manager? Are you a board chair?
I think that depends on which hat I'm wearing and which role we're talking about. And yeah, like if we're talking about my full-time job or in my my personal nonprofit on the side.
Let's talk about your personal nonprofit.
I think that it might depend on the project there, because I feel like sometimes I would be at the top with the visionary. I've invested my own resources, but I've also been setting these things. But I also feel like I'm pretty involved in the execution because we're a full volunteer organization. We've got 7 volunteers on the board of directors, which some do more than others. So that's good that some are doing some stuff, but not everybody's doing the same amount of stuff. But yeah, I think I probably, depending on the day and depending on the activity, probably wear more of the chief operations officer role, so the Holy Spirit side of things from a execution standpoint. But I think also from that standpoint of being the president of the board, kind of that God the Father role as well as the board chair.
So as your nonprofit develops, you're going to have to see a better organizational structure put together.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the relationships, partners, building those relationships with for lack of a better term, the presidents and owners of those, metal shops, glass companies, those sorts of things, but on a community level. Other nonprofits, Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCAs, parks and recreation, places like that, city officials, that sort of stuff. How do I build those relationships and rely on those people to introduce me to their communities or help me execute in those communities?
Okay, good. Do I see Angie on board?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. When did you come in, Angie?
I went to go heat up my food, so maybe like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. So you haven't been on long.
No.
I know you're teaching, so it's a hard thing. Okay. Okay. So somebody else, are you trying to do it all? Or let me ask you this, Marquise. Marquise, where are you in the organization? What are you the board? Are you the CEO? Are you the plant manager?
I'm the CEO of the Agape movement, but I'm also a board member on Can Do. And then I got my own nonprofit mentoring program, and I'm the CEO. So I wear a couple of different hats.
Okay. So you're doing a lot of things.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How do you keep it all together?
By humility, not thinking less of myself, but just thinking of myself a little less. I grew up as an only child, so I had a struggle with putting me first in all situations, even when I had kids. So I just try to think a little bit less of myself and not thinking less of myself. I think of the service that I'm trying to do for the different people that I'm doing it for, and the people that I'm working with.
Okay,
So so in the middle of the day, I go home and pray, wash my face, and kind of fill up with more to Lord. Like literally, I go home between 3 and 5 and just go pray for a couple minutes just to fill up.
good. Okay. Are you in the right role?
I believe so.
But you've got 3 different roles.
Correct.
Okay. And Travis, you've got a couple of things because you have a full-time job and then you have your organization. How has
Yeah.
that worked out in your life?
I think that there's some crossover. I've been in with my new organization, Can Play, for 3 weeks. But even previously when I was at the YMCA, in the youth sports director role, I think there's a lot of crossover and relationships that can be developed, through both. But I do think that there are differences, and the biggest challenge is probably the 9 to 5 is when most people are working. So when you're 9 to 5 with one organization and finding the time to connect with folks when you're not on the clock on that side of things. So
What are you going to do with Can Do? When are you going to go full-time with them?
I am currently 3 weeks into that position.
But you're still working in another job.
No, I'm no longer with the YMCA with Can Play
Okay,
now.
so you're on
Yeah.
your own. And you've got some support.
Yeah, I have a paid full-time, through Can Play, and then my nonprofit, the Iowa Foundation, is on the side. So it's balancing those 2 things.
Okay. So what are you going to do? Can Do or your organization?
Both is what I'm doing right now. But if for the project for our paper, our final exam is my foundation. Yeah. The Iowa Foundation. Yeah.
Okay. And is that something that someday you would like to be doing yourself?
Yes. Sooner rather than later.
Okay, so that would involve some fundraising.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, who else do we have on here?
I'm on here, Art. I catch myself trying to do it all. I think it's that's a couple of things. One, it's how I was brought up. Kind of seeing the people closest to me doing everything themselves makes you want to take on as much as you can. I also feel lazy if I'm not trying to do it all. I don't know if that's a bad thing or if it's just an uneasy conscience. I also think that there's ego that plays into it. You want to be in control of all these things. You want to say you can do all this. You want all of the gratification and the notoriety that comes with doing all these things. But realistically, kind of like Keem said before, you can't be great at everything. You have to bring supporting cast around you to help improve. So with where I'm at in the whole nonprofit thing right now, I'm trying to do it all myself just because I'm trying to wrap my head around being the CEO of my idea and driving this vision. But every time that I spend considerable amount of time thinking about what my goal is or what my visions are, I always end up writing down more and more people that I know I need to bring in. So part of my role to it, like in my real job, is understanding I can't do it all and I don't know it all. And there's experts in every different trade or field that I need for every single job. So I think that's a constant reminder that, and kind of like Marquis said, that I need to, we all need to stay humble. And the only way to realize something or learn something is to be receptive and open to that and getting help from other folks.
Okay? Um, Angie, what would you add to this?
I don't know if I would add anything, but I think I definitely feel the same as Victor. If I'm not doing something, I feel like I'm failing at what I'm supposed to do. Whether that's good or bad, sometimes I feel like it motivates me, and other times I feel like it's definitely overwhelming. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay? And Hakeem, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Feedback on where you are right now, because you're talking about being busy.
Well, I got a lot of things on my plate. I kind of wanted to go back and speak to what Victor was talking about. I wasn't saying that you couldn't be great at all things. I was just saying I feel that a great leader recognizes that even if he is great at all things, that he can't be in all places at the same time. So that's you, as the great person that you are, you find people that are like-minded or even better. So I just wanted to clarify that, because we all have the ability to be great at everything, but with time, we don't have the time to do that. So that's when these other people, come in. But for myself, man, I've been trying to start a nonprofit. I want to do things with the youth through sports. I'm trying to start a podcast. I think that, well, not I myself, but I've been told that I should be or try to be a motivational speaker. I want to do that. As you all know, I am a part of Agape, and I have ideas about that in particular group and how it can be placed in other places, and things of that nature. So I have a lot of great ideas and a lot of stuff on my mind and on my plate that I want to do, and things that I am currently doing. So right now for me, it's just trying to find something out of all of those things that relate to each other. So I know they're not going to relate 100%, but if I can find 2 or 3 things that can coincide with the agape and the basketball and the motivational speaking, I feel like that would help me more with the balance of time management of those things, because I'm a type of person, once I do something, that I want to finish it. So if all of those things are intertwined, when I finish one thing, just by the definition of them all being connected, I would just automatically finish the other 2, 3, or 4 things. So that's kind of where I am right now. I'm trying to figure out how I can correlate basketball activism with the youth.
Okay? As I'm listening and I'm trying to put my mind together with this, what I come up with right now is what we are doing on the spreadsheet is very important. To put your organization name, vision, mission. And by the way, the mission is something that's very difficult, and a number of people have said that's to be determined. I haven't gotten that done yet. And then the three goals, and then the strategies for reaching those that will accomplish the outcomes that I need. That's what we need to keep working on, because we got to get it straight. We got to get it right. Does that make sense? So we're going to be working on that. That's very important. Today, we wanted to talk about, have you really looked at the complexity of who we are and the different elements? We also wanted to look at the organizational structure of a board, ownership, CEO, operations. And we wanted to look at that and begin to put that in. Who am I? Where do I fit? And how do I bring people around me that can get things done? But we've got to get the spreadsheet worked on so that we know what we're doing. I've got a job, but I'm doing this. I got this, I got this. I got all of this, I got. So we've got to boil it down. Does that make sense? Jill, does that make sense? Jess, does it make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's what we're going to be working on. Now, I'm going to stop there because I'm going to be working with you on that as we make our calls. I want to get back to the spreadsheet and start, keep working on that. Okay?
Yep.
Next
Okay.
Thursday, go ahead. Somebody was going to say something.
No, I just said okay.
Okay. Next Thursday, we're having the Minnesota prayer breakfast here. We have an off-site across the street with us. 6:30 in the morning for breakfast, 7 o'clock for the event. It's on recovery, and then we'll have a half an hour after that. So we'll go from 6:30 to 9 next week. Now, Travis, are you still thinking of coming? You are. Okay.
Yep.
Victor, can you come?
Yep.
Angie,
I cannot come.
you cannot come. Hakeem,
Can make it.
you can?
Yes, sir.
Great, okay. Who else is on?
Art, will you send out an invite or something?
Oh, it's coming out today.
Yeah, okay, okay.
You will get it today, okay? So we'll update you.
Okay.
Good. Okay, that's what I would like to do for today. Is that okay?
Mhm.
It's 12:45, but that's okay. I'd like to stop now. Anything else you would like to add? Okay?
Art, I have a quick question. On the calls that we set up, are you calling us or are we calling you? Because I feel like we've missed each other a couple times.
Yeah, I'll call you.
Okay, perfect.
I'm sorry, I don't have those times in front of me, but
That's okay.
Okay.
That all good. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't if it was one side or the other, if it was miscommunication between both of us. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, folks, we'll see you next week.
All right, you guys.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
See ya.
Bye.